So after 18 seasons of the Journeyman, our journey came to an end. In today's video, we will be looking back on our 18-year career, which started all the way back in October 2017. No, yeah, was it 2017? Yes, it was. 2017 seems a long time ago, but it was in 2017 that this started. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. We're going to see where our old clubs ended up. We'll look at some old favourites from the series and just see what we've achieved in 18 years. Hey guys, and welcome back to some more Football Manager 2018, my final FM18 video. This is the finale of the Journeyman Part 2, where we're going to look back at our career, which is going to be interesting. You know, I'm doing this completely live. I've got nothing planned, so we're just going to see what happens. And first, I guess, we'll look at our profile and where we have ended up stats-wise, and you know, our face looks the same as it does now, even though we're 38 years old in-game, which is quite scary, but then also I feel quite young, considering, you know, we're in 2035, 38 doesn't seem old enough. But no, we started our career at Blyth Spartans. If we look at our job history, you can see Blyth Spartans down here. We didn't even finish the season with them. We got we didn't get relegated. We were in the relegation zone. They did, funnily enough, stay up that season, but we got sacked after 6 months, unfortunately. And they've had a couple of relegations since then, which is sad, and they're not in the base game anymore, as you can see. It doesn't even look like... Oh, they are. They're in the Evo Stick League Premier Division, so that basically shows how far they have fallen, and they haven't been back in the Vanarama National League North for 10 years now. So, yeah, I mean, there was some cracking players the first season that we brought in. I don't remember any of them, though. I really don't. Freddie Yeo, I seem to remember him. He played 53 times for Blyth in the end, but you know, a former Premier League footballer. He came down and went to Newport and Hartlepool after Blyth, so I don't think that was too bad a signing. Luke Jordan, I seem to remember him. Jack Blackford, Ivan Wassi, do I remember him? Perhaps. He went to Aldershot Town, so you know, there were some decent players in there. Ian Carlo Poveda, I remember him. He played for Man City. We brought him in on loan, and eventually he made it up to Notts County, and yeah, had a decent career. He was only 25 when he retired, though. But you know, if we look on their former managers, we're on there, and we were sacked after 188 days. That was a little bit embarrassing, to say the least, to be sacked after 6 months, and you know, we were really down in the doldrums, and we didn't know where we were going to go next. Curzon Ashton were crazy enough to appoint us, and I mean, the first season, it was crazy. The final day, if you watch episode 100 of the Journeyman, we did like a sort of best bits, and I remember we had a crash of Football Manager when we were 3-0 down in the penultimate game. It would have relegated us. The game crashed, and we reloaded it, obviously, and played it again, won 3-0, and then drew the final day of the season. I'd probably be able to find it on here, actually. I'm sure we won something like 3-0. Which one was it? Is that the right season? No. There we go. We won 3-1. So yeah, we were losing to Spennymoor 3-0 or something, but then we reloaded the game, won 3-1. Then on the final day of the season, Carl Hamilton, who we renamed Lewis Hamilton, scored on the final day and made it 2-2. I seem to remember Max Leonard was pretty good as well. But it is difficult. Phil Mitchell, Cairo Mitchell, that's the guy I was thinking of. Phil Mitchell, He doesn't even have his what do you call it? Nickname anymore. Paul Marshall, I seem to remember him being a decent player. He actually went to stayed at Curzon Ashton until 2024 and then retired after that. But he was a good player, and we steadied the ship at Curzon Ashton. The next season we were about mid-table, doing quite well, and that was one of their best ever finishes in that league, which I'm proud of. We did a decent job there, but after that, Curzon Ashton, another team that are in the Evo Stick Premier Division, which is a little bit worrying. But then we went to Boston, and this is where we made our name. We got promoted in that season. Not the same season. In our first season, we sort of just steadied out the season, and then the next year, we win the playoffs we won the Vanarama National League North and went into the National League. We win the playoffs. They did eventually finish 4th in the end, and we had a really good time at Boston, to be honest. And I feel like our hard work at the club has led them to this very, very solid period in League 2 now, where they're constantly in the top half of the league. They're 5th at the moment, so they could even go up this season. And I attribute that to our hard work when we were at the club back in 2019-2020. We spent a year and 214 days there, winning 53%, which is decent, to be honest with you. And we did get some fairly good players. If we look at 1920, oh boy, how many? Surely we didn't sign all them. Surely not. We must have, because there's Cairo Mitchell. Why did we sign that many players? Carl Hamilton or Lewis Hamilton, Stephen Rigg, I seem to remember him. And he came in with so much promise and was just rubbish. Bobby Joe Taylor. I do remember a lot of these names, but I don't really. He was Carl Piergiani was a centre back that we brought in, but that is crazy. Surely I didn't sign all those players. Surely I didn't. But we obviously did. Jack Holmes as well. I seem to remember him. Leon Davies. He's still playing. Wow, he is still playing. Yeah, he had a good spell on loan at us, and he's still in the game. That is crazy. Somebody that was in season 2 or 3 of the Journeyman is still in it. It's crazy. Jonathan Forte, we brought in as well from Southampton. He was pretty rubbish. Kane Ferdinand, I seem to remember he was alright. Played 18 times for us. But Chris Evans, everybody. Oh boy, he was excellent. he was excellent at Curzon Ashton. We brought him into Boston, and he eventually went to Blyth Spartans, so he was doing the reverse journeyman apparently. But it is weird thinking back to that time, how little of it I actually remember. But we did win Manager of the Month a couple of times, and obviously won the Vanarama National League North, which was our only trophy for a little bit until probably my favourite spell. But we made an ill-fated decision to go to Burton Albion, where I remember we had a episode where it was who did we choose, and we had 2 job offers, one from Burton Albion and one from Southend United, and we went for Burton Albion. They were in League 1 in the relegation zone, and we took over them, and it never really worked out. We got relegated in 2020-21. And in League 2, I remember just struggling. We were down in 12th, 13th place, and we were on the verge of the sack, if I remember correctly. We were only there just over a year, and we only won 29% of our games. I mean, it says it all that they went on to win the league that year that we left. And they're now down the Vanarama National League, but it was a poor time. But Fleetwood came in, in a very similar position to where Burton were. Burton were in 20th or something when we came into their club. Fleetwood were in exactly the same position, and we went to Fleetwood, and something just changed. I mean, if we go back to that season, was it this one? No, I think it was... there we go. This is the one. So we came in about November time, and I think this was our first game against West Brom, and you can just see that the form we brought in, and Paul Glatzel, you can see, or Powell Glatzel, I beg your pardon, the whole series I've been pronouncing his name wrong. I got a comment from All Out Attack on the Stoke episode where Glatzel actually broke the Premier League record for goals in a season, and he said he watched that with the actual Powell Glatzel. And his name's Powell, not Paul, so I very much apologise, Powell. But you can just see here how good a player he was. Now, he was absolute rubbish, really, before that. He'd scored 2 goals in the whole season before we turned up. And then he scored 2 against Rotherham. Ashley Hunter, wow, what a player he was. I think he left in January, if I remember correctly. But yeah, Powell Glatzel, scored a load of goals that season. Matt Gooden was a good one as well, or Matt Godden, should I say. And we just turned it around and ended up winning the league that year, which is absolutely crazy. We went on to win it, and they'd just been relegated from the Championship, so yeah, we went on to win it, and then we win the playoffs for the Championship, and looking to get into the Premier League, and Ipswich Town approach us in 20th place in the league. Another ill-fated move, it has to be said. It was a terrible idea. We went in, we tried to steady the ship, it didn't work, we got relegated. And then we nearly got relegated again, and this resulted in our second sacking of the series. But the day before we were sacked, we were offered the job at Stoke. And I remember absolutely filling my pants, basically, because I thought we'd lost the job. And if we'd got sacked from Ipswich at that point, our reputation would have been really bad. We'd have had to drop down the leagues again. But as it happened, we managed to go to Stoke, who were in the Premier League, and took a chance on us. We Paul Lamberted our way into it, and you can see they were on just some downward spiral, and eventually we managed to keep them up in 17th, and then brought Powell Glatzel in the summer. And, you know, look at Stoke now. We had one bad season with them. Other than that, they finished in the top 10 every year. And I put that down to the hard work we put in at Stoke. And that was probably the one job that I would have wanted to stay more than 3 years at. But because of the 3-year restriction, we sort of left after the third full year, where we'd finished 7th. We'd been really building a top side there, and we went to Ajax, you know, which was a good move in itself. We won the Eredivisie twice. We won the Johan Cruyff special or whatever, and then we went to Villarreal for 6 days or something. They were in so much debt that I was promised so much money, but yeah, we went to Villarreal, and that was not the case. So we resigned and went to Porto instead, where we finished 3rd in our only season. Never really got going there, unfortunately. One of the regrets of the Journeyman, and that's where it took a couple of months break while I did the World Cup Challenge in the summer. And then we went to Southampton when we brought the series back at the end, in the middle of July. I had a couple of fairly poor seasons at Southampton, to be honest with you. Fell into the Everton job on the day before the season started. Finished 4th in our first year. Really good season for us. Got to the Final of the... Oh no, we won the Carabao Cup. Ooh, interesting. I don't remember winning the Carabao Cup. I remember getting to the final. But anyway, we won the Carabao Cup, finished in the Champions League. Slow start to 2033-34, and that resulted in our third sacking of the series, unfortunately. After winning 50% of our games, having a cup win, finishing it in the Champions League places, we were sacked after a year and 173 days, and somehow fell into the Tottenham job. Finished fourth in our first year, and then we had this season where we won Manager of the Month, and we obviously won 3 competition titles: the Premier League, the Carabao Cup, and the Champions League title. So, absolutely brilliant, it has to be said. And if we... I don't know, if we have a look at some of the players, I guess, that have got me on their favoured personnel. So let's go into edit search. Is it advanced? How do you get favoured personnel? Is it on general? Favourite club staff. There we go. Contains Hannard. And we can find all of the players that sort of admire me, if you like. So, I mean, there's just so many of them on here. If we go sorted by age, then you've got Benegas. Hold on, we need to include own players as well. There's a way to do that. There we go. So, Benegas from Porto, he still likes us a lot. Ibrahim Glatzel, of course. Paul Glatzel. Unbelievable. What a player he has been. 34 years old now. But, yeah, I mean, you can see there, 31 goals, both seasons for Fleetwood in the League One and the Championship, then 23 for Ipswich in the Championship when they finished 18th, 37 in 35 appearances for him in Stoke, and his first season in the Premier League took it by storm, continued his form, scoring 26 and 22 respectively in the next 2 years. And for some reason, Liverpool never wanted him. They never wanted him. He scored 4 goals in 5 starts and still was sold to me for 16 million in Holland. Ended up taking Holland by storm, Portugal by storm, came back to the Premier League. Probably wasn't quite the same player after that. He still scored 12 in 30 for Everton, Liverpool's big rivals, a couple of years ago, and scored 5 in 13 in his swan song season with myself at Tottenham in our Premier League winning campaign. But an absolutely fabulous player, and you know, who would have thought that this player that we had at Burton, 3 appearances, could turn into a man that's you know, been a dominating figure in the Premier League. His pace is completely gone now. He was a really fast striker, but he's only got 10 now. And yeah, it is quite sad to see the decline of him, you know, over the length of this journeyman. But we'll always remember him for those 3 years in the Premier League with Stoke when he was just lethal. He was one of the best strikers in the world back then, and if that happened in real life, he would have been playing for Real Madrid or Barcelona or Paris Saint-Germain, that sort of team. And you know, looking at scrolling through this, there's some really, really big names on here. Thomas Berg, I remember, our find from Denmark, brought him in for a free transfer at Southampton. Did really, really well. I mean, those stats don't tell the whole story of his sort of 3 years with us, but he did really, really well. And yeah, I'm just really sad it's over, to be honest with you. You know, I think we've had a good career. We obviously managed England as well, and it's sad to see this series go. But I really do hope that we can do something even better in the next sort of journeyman in FM19. If you look at our competition wins, Can we? Oh, we can't filter it by that. If we look at our biography, we'll read this and then we'll finish off the series. So, myself, I was born in South Shields on 8th of September 1997, which will be good, because this year I'll actually be able to have that as my birth date. During his time with Tottenham, Hannard's team finished runners-up in the Europa League 2034, runners-up in the FA Cup in 2034, won the Carabao Cup in 35, Premier League in 35, Champions League in 35. Hannard's Tottenham squad is amongst the strongest physically, featuring a number of imposing figures who were only too keen to assert themselves over their opponents. His first venture into management was with Blyth Spartans, where he was appointed in July 17. Hannard had a brief spell in charge of Curzon Ashton between February 18 and March 2019. Hannard also had a brief spell in charge of Boston between 19 and 20. We lifted the Vanarama National League North in 2020. I also had a brief spell in charge of Burton Albion. I also had a brief spell in charge of Fleetwood between November 2021 and January 2023. The Fleetwood team lifted the Sky Bet League One in 2022. I also had brief spells in charge of Ipswich Town, for a year basically. After leaving Ipswich, we took charge of Stoke, where we stayed until May 2027. I also had a brief spell in charge of Ajax. During his time with Ajax, we lifted the Eredivisie and the Johan Cruyff Schal. Between May 2029 and 2030, had brief spells with Villarreal and Porto. After leaving Porto, I took charge of England, where I stayed until July 2034. So I was there for about 4 years in the end. I was made Southampton's manager in April 31. I also had a brief spell in charge of Everton between 32 and 34 and lifted the Carabao Cup in that time. And obviously we then went to take on Tottenham. I've also earned recognition from the footballing community for my achievements, shortlisted for the Vanarama National League North Manager of the Season and shortlisted for Manager of the Year. But yeah, it's sad that it's all coming to an end, really, and you can see how many clubs we've had, and it is sad to see it go. I am sad to see it, and yeah, I really do hope that you guys have enjoyed this series, and if you have, then make sure you do leave a like and join me every single day at 4 PM once the Football Manager 2019 beta has come out, and I really hope that you'll enjoy that. If it's half as good as this, then it should be an enjoyable series. So thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate the support over the last however many months, 12 months I guess, 183 episodes. It's been absolutely amazing. All I can say is thank you for watching, and I'll see you in Football Manager 2019. Bye bye.